All right, Corrina Corrina on the mandolin. Going to do it in a country blues style, not a bluegrass style. We'll see if I can get a good moderate pace here to kick it off. Corrina, where'd you stay last night? Tell me, Corrina, where'd you stay last night? Come in this morning, the sun was shining bright. I love Corrina, tell the world I do. I love Corrina, and I tell the world I do. Just a little more love and let your heart be true. I left Corrina far across the sea. I left Corrina far across the sea. Didn't leave me no letter, she didn't care about me. All right, this is a real easy tune, great tune for beginners, but we can make it as advanced as we want. Now, about, I don't know, 3-4 days ago, I did a version of this on the guitar, and I'll put the link on that in the show notes. If you're a guitar player, and a mandolin player too, like me, and I play several instruments, you might want to learn to play both tunes because each instrument you learn gives you insights, it opens your ear up, it changes the way you play every instrument. Or maybe you're a mandolin player and you got a friend that plays guitar or vice versa, and you two of you can learn it and jam on it a little bit. Now, this is it's an old tune, originally recorded in, I think, 1928 by the Mississippi Sheiks. It's a folk tune. It predates the Mississippi Sheiks by at least a few decades. I mean, I really went to the history on the guitar video, so I'll skip over a little bit of that. But the reason I want to point out that it's a folk tune is, I'm from the mountains of North Carolina. And I grew up following Doc Watson around, and Doc always used to say this, and I think he probably got it from Pete Seeger or maybe Mike Seeger. They'd say, we're folk musicians, we steal from everybody. Okay, there's no such thing really as new music. Everything's been done before. But if you admit that, it makes it a lot more comfortable to learn an old song and make it your own. Okay, and that's the history of music. I mean, you think of all the bluegrass tunes, the country tunes. So many of them were based on earlier tunes. You think about a song like Elvis Presley's "Love Me Tender." That comes from Ora Lee, an old folk tune, right? You think of all those bebop jazz songs in the 40s and 50s. They were chord progressions taken from other songs. And then they'd alter the melody till they came up with something brand new. But what was great is the other musicians playing with them, even if they hadn't heard the song before, their ear would recognize those chord progressions. So I'm going to go through just the basics of the melody and show you maybe a variation or two on that. Then the very basic chords, which is what I just played. And then because this song is so much associated with Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys, I'm going to show you a Western swing version. That's what I did in the guitar video. I'm going to try, if I can remember them, to do basically the same chords on the mandolin because, I literally just, improvised all of that. So what I did on the melody, I started out with just a slide up on the third string. So what is that? That's a G, A, G. And I like to play chord melody as much as possible. And I'm going to get into that a lot more in future videos, but you could absolutely just do that one note, maybe give it a little tremolo, make it all mandolin-y. A lot of guys don't like tremolo at all. I dig it, but anyway, this is a C chord. This is a C major chord right here. We've got our finger on the E string and the other strings coming across the C and the G. And I just did a little rhythmic variation. You don't have to play it the way I play it. I like that. I don't like to play a straight 4/4 a lot of times, especially if I'm doing a break. So, all right, so that was C to just a D note, back down to this open C chord. to F, open A, G, C chord again with the E, G7. Super simple, right? And you can vary it up in many different ways. Use tremolos, do some hammer-ons and pull-offs, get some more drones or double stops. I mean, whatever you like, whatever sounds good to your ear. Play it, same thing up the neck, you know, and maybe pick it a little faster. I mean, you know, that's one of those little secret mandolin tricks. You can take this simple, anything simple here, move it up the neck and play it faster, and you sound like you're a bluegrass player. I don't like to play fast, I never have. I grew up playing bluegrass. I don't play fast on the guitar, and I don't play fast on the mandolin. If you do, that's great. I'm not one of those mandolin players that's going to tell you, you have to play it this way. I mean, let's face it, okay? Guitar players are usually pretty laid back. Banjo players are super laid back, and I have more of the banjo player personality, you may have realized. Mandolin players are like uptight, mostly. I'm just saying, I don't want to offend anybody, but you go to the Mandolin Cafe and you put in something just slightly making a joke, and 10,000 guys are going to come out and just, you know, grate you over the coals because we take playing seriously. You know, you have to play every note exactly the way Bill Monroe played it, or Dave Grisman, or something like that. You know, yeah, I don't. I like to play mandolin the way I like to play mandolin, and if I can share one thing with you, it's that mandolin gets way too pigeonholed as to being just a strictly bluegrass or gypsy jazz or old time instrument. I played all those styles, pretty good at some of them, but you can play anything on the mandolin. You can play rock and roll on the mandolin, absolutely. I'll show you how to play some rockabilly at some time. You can play reggae on the mandolin. You can play funk on the mandolin. Sound crazy? Well, listen to that. You got that staccato sound? You better believe you can play reggae or funk. I mean, Sam Bush has been doing it for years, off and on. Leftover Salmon and guys like that. You can play anything on the mandolin. I am more chordal. That's my thing. Like Jethro Burns is my big mandolin hero. I am a finger picker on the guitar. I am a chord melody guy as much as possible on the mandolin because I like the sound of the harmonies. If you like to play just single notes, go for it. You can literally play anything on the mandolin any way you like, okay? I actually thought about calling this series Mandolin Freedom because I want to break people away from tablature and copying other people and staying in that strict. Now, if you're a diehard bluegrass fan, I mean, you know, I love Del McCoury Band. I mean, they're about as traditional and strict in their playing as can be. They are pure professionals, so I appreciate both. I mean, I really do. But it's not my style necessarily. So I want to give you some options. Now, let's look at options, okay? The simple chord progression of Corrina Corrina is a C chord. You may notice I played sometimes open, letting that G note ring out, and other times I drop my finger on the C note there. That's essentially a bluegrass chop chord, if you want to think about it that way. But I was doing alternating sort of the rhythm a little bit instead of just playing straight, you know. And so I can open up, and that's the 1 and the 5 of the chord. So you can do either one, or you can grab the G note up here and put your pinky down here and play a fuller chord, which is even more of a chop chord. But I like 3-note chords when possible, okay? So C, also the most simple F, which is right here, C, F, A. And then for the G7, I may have at one point played a G7 with the G note on top, that little triangular shape, G7, which is really easy. But I really prefer, for my voice, because I'm a baritone, this G7. And that's super easy. You're playing the F, that's the flat 7, which makes it a G7. And you've got a B there, and you've got your D here. The G note's not even in the chord. Go figure, right? You could absolutely play it that way. You'd be here. It rings too high for me. I'm a baritone. I'm not Bill Monroe. I'm not Bobby Osborne. with that crazy high voice. I'm a baritone, so I like to find a note that works for me, right? Bad to see. All right. As I said, this is also a very famous Western swing tune, so let's look at a couple of jazz chords. Don't freak out. My system of chords is very, very simple. Okay, I learned this from the great guitar player Joe Pass, and it is probably the most controversial statement in music. And Joe Pass, the dude could play. Okay, considered to be one of the finest musicians of all time. He said there are only three types of chords. They're majors, minors, and sevenths. You tell that to a piano player, and he's going to beat you over the head with your own mandolin. All right. Okay, it's true if you think about it as a philosophy. It's not true in a strict sense, in a very literal sense. But all right, let's find a chord. What is like probably the simplest chord we can play on the mandolin? Probably a G. Put the G down here, B, and an open D. All right. Drop one finger back. You've got a G minor. Okay. Yeah, it's that simple, right? Now let's play a G7 using just those same strings. We've got the F, which is a flat 7 in the key of G. G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, right? So F, F sharp, move down to natural F, and now you've got the flat 7. Put that finger back on the B, and we've got the easiest G7 possible, all right? Move that finger back up to the F sharp, and you've got G major 7. Let's see if I can play a little more cleanly. Hard note to sing along with, sounds great in the song though. Open it up, play the E, just leaving one finger down, and we've got a G6. Not the best sounding G6, but technically still a G6. All right? So, the third, of course, could be moved up, and we could play, what is that, G augmented or suspended? I can't remember right off the top of my head. Just the same way we moved it down, get a flat, to get a minor, we can move it up. We can move that 7 all around. We can move the 5 all around. So if somebody throws a chord at you, you're playing with a jazz guitarist or a piano player or somebody, and they say play a G flat 5 minor 7, and you're like, what? I've only got 4 strings. How? Well, actually, all you would do is drop your B down for the minor, drop your F down for the minor 7, and then raise the, well, I said flat 5, so I'm actually going to go probably here, and I don't know, maybe even play the G on this one. Difficult chord, but we could drop that G and we could play the F flat again, So anyway, you can find chords real easy if you think of them. That's probably not the best example, but if you think of them in that way, a 9 is just moving the G up to A. So we've got now a G9, very simply. That's how easy my chords are. As we go through this series of videos, I'm basically going to teach you to play the same chord in 4 different positions on the neck so that you can play it conveniently. And then always remember, all you're doing is shifting 1 or 2 fingers, 1 fret or 2 frets, and you can play every single chord on the neck. As long as you got that and your basic scales down, you can play chord melody for anything. I really like this concept of mandolin freedom. You can play anything on your instrument, okay? So I'm going to give you really simple tunes and show you how to make them complicated to other people. It'll still be simple to you because you know what you're doing. And eventually I'll give you some written material on this as well. Remember, I'm not a bluegrass player. 99% of what's available out there in terms of mandolin tutorials are bluegrass oriented. I love bluegrass, but I'm really more of a blues and jazz guy. So just consider this an alternative. Consider it maybe opening your horizons a little bit, giving you a few more options. And, I'll be doing some of this in person. I want to start doing some mandolin and guitar workshops when I get back home. My house was pretty much destroyed by Hurricane Helene. So I'm staying at a relative's house. I am not in the mountains right now. But when I get back on the mountain, I'm going to be. And speaking of which, I was kicked off of Facebook the other day. And that was the main driver of traffic to my YouTube channel. One of the ways I make my living is I do herb classes and books and podcasts, and I also do music, and putting it on YouTube will really help me out a lot getting the house rebuilt. So please subscribe to my channel, and if you can share it with a friend, you can share it with family, please do so, whether they're interested in music or herbs or foraging or any of the things I do, cooking and just primitive skills, camping, and I'm a woodsman, I'm a mountain guy, and we do all that kind of stuff. I sort of live the Foxfire books, if you want to think about it that way. All right, so anyway, let's now complicate this tune, right? So instead of playing just their C, all right, let's do a very common progression in Western swing and jazz, which is the 6-3-2-5-1 or 3-6-2-5-1. You can actually play it either way. I think I'm going to go from, first of all, I'm going to do a C6 chord, which is super simple. Actually, it's just like the F, but you lay your finger down. Changes it. The 6 chord is the signature chord for all Western swing. So I'm going to go, let's see. Let's try it both ways, because I can't remember which way I did it on the guitar. If I went from 6 to 3 or... from 1 to 3 or 1 to 6. Now, what am I talking about? Okay, I really should explain that. Your C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? All right, I play a clear pick, by the way, so I stuck that right there. Probably not the best place. Let's try it again. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, so a major chord is 1, 3, 5. 6 chord is 1, 3, 5, 6. 7 chord is 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So I've got a 1, 3, 5, 6 here because I'm putting the A in there. Now, in the melody, remember I was playing this chord. That's an A minor 6, which is the exact same chord as a C major. Now there's a little trick that you can learn real quick. Remember, an A minor, the 6 chord and the 1 chord are essentially the same chord, just with a different note on top. So let's go from here. And then the 3 is an E minor 7. I'm just going to drop a finger down. 6. So let's see how that sounds. Corrina, Corrina, where you been so long? I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. Where you been so long? Tell me, Corrina, where you been so long? And because the A minor 7 is the 3 of the F scale, we can use that same chord again. And that's why I was able to use it throughout the melody. I'm going from the F. Or we could start to play it here with the F F note on top, actually. Back to C. Up to you. I like them both. And now let's vary up the G a little bit. Let's play a G7 with the G on top. D minor 7, because that's the 2, the second chord in a C chordal scale. 2, 5, 1. That's the heart of all Western swing and jazz. This is 2-5-1 progression. How's it sound put together? I don't know. Let's see. I like it. Okay? That's how I would play Corrina Corrina in a Western swing band. And Western swing being one of my favorite forms of music. And it sounds good in my ear. If you like it, go for it. Now, remember, you can do whatever you want to with any piece of music. I got a C major here. I've got a C major here. I've got a C major here. That's the G note. Same G note sitting here. I got a C major here. Yeah. I've got, let's see, go up from G to C. I've got a C note here. And I've got a C here with the E on top. That's really the heart of my system, actually, if I have a system. Now let's just add one more thing, because being a blues and jazz player, we like to jam a lot. And having grown up in bluegrass, we like to jam a lot. And always think it's a good thing to put a tag on the end of the song, and it especially works well for the mandolin because of its pitch and its staccato. It's really a lot like a drum, a snare drum in some ways. It was one of the things that a signature of a lot of the greats. They put a tag on the end of the song, and it tells your ear the song is ended. It also tells the rest of the musicians to stop playing. Otherwise, we're just going to keep noodling away till it sounds like you're at a Grateful Dead concert. And man, I love the Dead. I grew up a Deadhead, so you might hear a few Jerry Garcia references every now and then. Certainly Dave Grisman. Oh man, I got to hang out with him a few times, and huge influence. He and Sam Bush were both huge influences on my mandolin playing. But anyway, let's put a little tag on that. So I've just played the 2-5-1. All right, we just signed off. Heard about a variation. Oh, that didn't sound good. This will. Put a period on the end of the sentence. What did I just do? I went G, F sharp, E, D, C, D, E, F, G, C. So, C with the C on top. C chord. Or C6 with the C on top. And again, that's a little, I love 3-note chords because 4-note chords get muddy to my ear. But this one works here if you play it clean. And I might want to try doing that, right? All right, so there's some options to play. Look, if you enjoyed this, send me a message. I'll be doing a lot more. I'll try to do the same songs on guitar as mandolin. So, if you got somebody to play with, you can coordinate. And just remember, I'm not the most formal teacher by any means. I'm not the most formal player by any means. When I give you music theory, it's as I understand it, and it's what works for me. And I do have a really laid-back style and a laid-back system of playing. Now, you can take it and do with it whatever you want. You can get real fancy playing chord melodies. You can play simple blues melodies. You can play anything on the mandolin, and that's why I call it mandolin freedom. I don't like that, you have to play things this way. I'm just giving you ideas. So try them out. If you like them, go for it. And vary things up. Make your own version of every tune. Come up with your own solo. Don't get stuck on tablature, and don't get stuck on listening to solos on records. I cannot tell you how tiresome it can be when you go to a bluegrass festival and there are 50 mandolin players playing every solo note for note exactly the way Bill Monroe played it, except each one's trying to play a little faster than the next one. And so basically the guy that ends up playing the fastest is the winner. Or they'll go the opposite way and they do like sad elevator music. Man, I'd much rather hear, Willie Brown on the mandolin. Willie Brown was a Delta blues musician that was equally adept at guitar and mandolin. Or what was his name? Yank Rachel. I've never known how to pronounce his last name. He died before I was around. And he played odd tunings. It's another myth. People think you have to play weird tunings to play blues. I'm playing out of a straight. This is G, D, A, E, or E, A, D, G, whichever way you say it. I do play a little differently. I also play tenor banjo. I play several instruments. But I think you can take from this and learn and adapt it to your own style. And if you got any questions, let me know. I will put some written material together eventually. I started working on it. I haven't finished it, but I don't think this is that hard, is it? I mean, I showed you the chords, I showed you note for note, and you know, we'll have, well, the next goal that we'll get into is playing by ear. How do I know where every note is on the neck? Well, there's a secret to that. I'll tell you next time. Keep you hanging, right? Tune in next time. Same bat station, same bat channel, same mandolin madness right here with the old Kentucky mandolin. You know what? I'm also going to teach you about. I used to work in a guitar store. Worked on all kinds of instruments. I dealt with a lot of antique instruments, a lot of hand-built luthier mandolins and stuff. Super high-end, expensive. I paid $75 for this mandolin. And is it the best mandolin I've ever played? No. But it's better than 99% of things that cost about 20 times more or 1,000 times more even. There's a huge difference between a really high-end mandolin and one like this, but there's a whole lot in between where you don't need to be wasting your money. And that's going to upset a lot of people too. So I'm going to say things controversial like that because let me tell you a little secret about most mandolin players. Everybody wants to be a professional bluegrass musician. There are only so many slots. There's only so many jobs for professional bluegrass musicians. So a lot of mandolin players end up building mandolins because they still have a passion for the music. But to justify the enormous amount of time that goes into handcrafting an instrument, they put a price tag on it that's outrageous. Well, a lot of frustrated mandolin players end up being lawyers and such, and so they can afford it. And that just keeps driving the market up and up and up. A lot of the best recordings, especially in old-time music and such, were made with homemade instruments, cheap instruments from the Sears catalog. I mean, not everything was a Lloyd Lord Gibson. And if you, I'll teach you how to pick out a decent mandolin, set it up properly so it sounds good and plays well. And we'll talk about a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of guys are going to hate that I said that because they need to sell their mandolins for like, you know, $5,000 to justify the time they put into building the mandolin. For better or, I mean, okay, that's a very new concept. Most of the musicians were broke, really broke. I don't know what, you know, Willie Brown played, but I guarantee it was not a concert level instrument. And I could go down the list on that. Yeah, Bill Monroe's famous for his Lloyd Lord, but I mean, a lot of guys had, you know, like one of those flat, the ones they did in the wartime. It was just a pancake style. Yeah, I mean, it's still a really good instrument. It's just solid wood, and it's just as good as 99% of what's out there. And I'm not endorsing the brand. But I'm going to tell you what to look for in an instrument. So we'll get into all of that. So anyway, y'all, have a good one. Thanks for putting up with me. Remember to share this with a friend. And if you do subscribe to my YouTube channel, it's going to help me out. I got to do a ton of repairs at the house. If I can put together some events and you can come up, that'll help me out a lot too. But, you know, you can subscribe to YouTube and hit like for free. And eventually, if I can monetize the channel, that'll give me a little more time when I don't have to be working for another way to make money, that I can actually be tearing out subflooring in my house and ripping out insulation and replacing walls and ceilings and all that really fun stuff that I'm doing this year. Have a good one. I'll talk to you next time.